Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to show a deck that is quite unusual and it's from a number of years ago. It's a type of oracle deck, but it is quite different. I'm talking about the Symbolon deck, and this was published by A.G.Muller in 1993. And there are 78 cards in this deck. Even though there are 78 cards, it doesn't really have much of a similarity to tarot. It just happens to have 78 cards. And it's an interesting deck for a couple of reasons. It is a deck that can be used for astrology. All of the cards have the astrology symbols on them. They have signs and they have the ruling planets on all of the cards. So for a lot of people who are learning astrology, this can be quite a helpful deck. The only thing about some of the symbols on the cards is that it does have an unusual symbol for Pluto, and it has an alternative symbol for the planet Uranus as well. So I'm just going to point that out, because if you get this deck and have a look at the symbols as you're learning astrology symbols, you might think, oh, well, gee, I don't recognize these symbols. This is different to the usual type of symbols for the planet Pluto and the planet Uranus. So I just wanted to make that point. You can use this deck by ignoring the planetary symbols and the astrology signs on here if you wish. You don't have to follow that if you don't want to. So here is the box, and this is a standard kind of tarot deck size. It's a little bit slightly larger than that, but it also comes in a mini size. Here is the mini, and the mini is about the size of a Lenormand deck. So I thought I'd let you know about that as well, because it's really handy having both sizes if you are interested, or either one. So this is the mini deck, and these are both still available. And here's a little white book, and the artwork is by Thea, and the little white book is quite detailed. It's quite thick, and there is a description for each of the 78 cards. There are pictures actually, there are small pictures for each of the cards in here. There is a 3-card spread to be used, or recommended. And this is more of a psychological deck. It's an astrology deck if you wish, but it's very much about archetypes. And I get the impression that the two authors of the little white book are probably psychologists. That is the kind of theme that you get, especially with the descriptions in the cards. And that is why it's called Symbolon, because the images are representing archetypes, but it's called a deck of remembrance because it has been created to stimulate the memory, and particularly the subconscious. So it is quite different. And when this deck came out in the 90s, as I said, it was created in 1993. I think that's why it's still in print. It's been quite a popular deck, but not all that many people know about it. I think a lot of people like it because, or have liked it because there's 78 cards, and they think, oh, well, this would be really good to use with tarot readings, possibly. And I think just because it was such a different deck, it was reasonably popular when this deck was first published. And people who do use the deck quite like it. Of the 78 cards, there's only 2 or 3 images and themes that I don't particularly like, so I don't use those 2 or 3 cards. I think if you get this deck, you might be able to work out which images are a little bit too confronting. The theme and the image is a little bit too confronting. I also think 2 or 3 of the images are also a little on the religious side. I think that's why I didn't like those particular images or themes. But the rest of the deck I quite like. So I'm going to start. I'm going to show cards that I particularly like. I always do it this way. And the cardstock is good because it's A.G.Muller. The cardstock is quite good. They're just gold on the back with the Symbolon title on the back. And each of the cards have a thin gold border that looks really quite nice. It doesn't really distract from the image. I think it looks really nice, and I think you might see this yourself when I show you the cards. Now the first 12 cards I'm going to show you are the cards that are belonging to each of the astrology signs. After the first 12 cards, the other cards I'm going to show you, some of them, they have got 2 star signs at the top of each card. But every card has the astrology sign and the ruling planet on there. So that's really good because, it's, like I said, it's a really good way to learn astrology signs and ruling planets. So, the first one is Aries. Aries, the symbol is at the top. Planet Mars, ruling planet, at the bottom. Now I'm going to show you these images and probably mention different things, but I'm not going to give you the correct titles. They're all in the book. I think this one is called Warrior, and Aries is associated with the military, amongst a lot of other things. These are general meanings for the star signs. So this is Aries. This is Taurus. The Venus symbol is at the bottom. Taurus is an earth sign. It rules nature and the produce of the earth. It also rules beauty because Venus is the ruling planet. So this is Taurus. Taurus also rules the body. Gemini. Here is Mercury on the card. Mercury is the ruling planet, and this card is showing the god Mercury. Mercury and Gemini is the sign of messages and movement, as Mercury rules those things as well. Sign of Cancer. Cancer symbol is at the top there. And the moon sign, the ruling planet, is at the bottom of the card. Beautiful card. Rules motherhood. The artwork is quite lovely and thought-provoking. And I really like the thin gold borders. That's Cancer. Leo rules royalty, kingship. You can see the sun sign there too at the bottom of the card. Virgo. I think this is a beautiful card for Virgo. So you have the Virgo sign at the top and Mercury. This is the traditional Mercury ruling Virgo. And I really like, there's a Virgin on the card for Virgo, and I really like the image of the offering of the grain, because the grain is associated with Virgo as well, and the produce of the earth, as well as it's similar to Taurus in that way, because it is an earth sign, but this is particularly has to do with the grain, because the Virgo Virgin is really the goddess of the grain. So that's a beautiful card, and you can actually see the traditional image of Mercury up here too in the sky. So that's a beautiful card. Libra rules relationships, and it's ruled by Venus. Scorpio. Now this is a really interesting image for Scorpio. To me, this is like, I think this represents not only an intense and dark image, the dark side of Scorpio, but it reminds me of the psychic vampire theme. Something covert going on, something behind the scenes. And the sign of Scorpio is at the top of the card, and you may not be able to see it, but the symbol for Pluto is here, and that is quite an unusual symbol for Pluto. It actually looks like a crescent moon or something like that. I actually, as an astrologer of many years, I am not familiar with this symbol for Pluto. So that's one of the symbols I was mentioning, because there's two planetary symbols that are not the usual in the deck. So this is Scorpio. Sagittarius is associated with religion. So you have the Sagittarius sign at the top there, the sign of the Archer, and Jupiter, the planet, at the bottom. So that's Sagittarius. And that's a really interesting image. If you have a look at the top there, there is a Buddha type of image at the top. So that's a nice combination there of Christianity and Buddhism. Now Capricorn, you've got the Capricorn symbol at the top and Saturn symbol at the bottom there. This is an interesting image for Capricorn. It represents old age. So this is an older sage type of image, age and older wisdom type of theme. There's a skeleton at the bottom, and there is the sands of time, the hourglass there, because Saturn and Capricorn ruling the measure of time, that's why it has something to do, quite a lot to do with the elders and old age, end of life. So this is an elder of wisdom, of some authority towards the end of their life, or Capricorn. And you may not be able to see, but there's snow-peaked mountains in the background because Capricorn rules mountains. And it's associated with cold time of the year. And here is Aquarius, and this will remind a lot of people of the Fool figure. So Aquarius, and there is some lightning at the top there. The planet Uranus is associated with lightning. And this is to do with freedom. Here is the freedom of this Fool figure. And being different, being unique, being an individual. That's pretty much what Aquarius, some of the things that Aquarius is associated with. And here is the symbol for Uranus. And this symbol I am familiar with, this alternative symbol for Uranus, I am familiar with this. You don't see it very often, but I have seen it. So it's Aquarius, and a beautiful image for Pisces. Pisces is associated with spirituality and the other dimensions of life. Some would say the higher dimensions, but particularly the spiritual. So that's a really beautiful card for Pisces. And there's the symbol for Neptune at the bottom there. So, okay, now I'm going to show some of the other cards, a few of the other cards that are these. The rest of the cards have 2 star signs on them, and they have at the top, and they have the 2 ruling planets at the bottom of the card. So I really like this one. It's one of my favourite cards of this deck. It's Taurus and Pisces, and what I like about this is that it's because Taurus is about the earth, and this is someone gardening, but because this has got Pisces in this card, there is a spiritual dimension to this, and for me this represents nature spirits and plant divas. So I really like this card. I think it's really beautiful. Here's another unusual card. This is Scorpio and Pisces together. So the Scorpio is the dark side of the angel, and Pisces is the light, spiritual dimension of the angel. So I really like that. So as you can see with these cards, they're quite different. They're really quite unique. They're really different. And a Phoenix card. This is Scorpio and Aquarius. So the Phoenix is very much associated with Scorpio. And Aquarius represents freedom, and sometimes, you know, well, Aquarius is an air sign, so that's obviously because of the bird and the bird wings. So that's a really beautiful card. I really like this one. This is Aries and Libra. They are the opposite signs. Aries and Libra. And so this is a relationship that has a division, and it actually has a chasm dividing the two of them. I really like this image. It's actually highlighting what happens and what can happen in relationships where there is division and there is consideration of issues and there is decisions about whether relationships can continue. So I really like that image. This is an unusual one. I like this card. This is Cancer and Aquarius. Now, the sign of Cancer being to do with motherhood. This card is to do with the emergence of new life, which comes with the birth, which is associated with motherhood. And it's also about the continuing generations, which is ancestry, and Cancer's to do with ancestry as well. And there's birds in here, and there is Aquarius here for the air part of the card. And I think this is really highlighting the promise and freedom of the individual. So that's a beautiful card. Next one is Libra and Scorpio. So this is another really good relationship card where there is the kind of dark dimensions of a relationship. You know, you can see this evil type of figure in the background, kind of, you know, a dark energy. And I think, you know, I like this card because, again, it's highlighting the reality of relationships, how they can become very dark. So I quite like this card for Libra and Scorpio. And this is one of my favourite cards. This is Cancer and Capricorn. The title of this one is called The Ice Queen, and The Ice Queen was one of my favourite stories when I was a child, favourite fairy tales. And this card it's really about a cold and detached mother figure. Because the Cancer sign is there, that's motherhood, and it can also be, you know, you got the moon ruling Cancer, the sign here. It could just be a cold and detached woman, a female, because of the moon ruling Cancer. And there's a mountain there again for Capricorn. And the coldness associated with Capricorn. So I really like that card. And it kind of reminds me of the saying that it can be lonely at the top. The Ice Queen lives on a mountain, alone. So I really like this card. It is a sad card. There is limitation and restriction that is associated with Capricorn. So I really like that card. Gemini and Scorpio together. Interesting. Here is the Pied Piper. the Pied Piper, who is ruling the children and the people of the town. I think a lot of people know the Pied Piper story. And here is the Pied Piper, who is the deviant side of Gemini. This is a deviant, mischievous, mercurial figure, telling children and townspeople wrong messages, bad messages, basically lying and deceiving. All of these messages are to do with Gemini. And you have Scorpio here, which is highlighting the dark, unseen side, with the messages and the intentions and the thoughts of this Pied Piper. The intentions and the thoughts are a Gemini thing. And there's a butterfly here, which is a symbol of Gemini as well, which is an air sign. So another interesting card. Next card is Capricorn and Pisces. Now, this is another interesting combination. Now, Capricorn, again, old age, the elder, crone figure, who is also a spinner of time. This is like one of the three fates. And the spinner of time. And you've got the coldness and the mountains again for Capricorn. And Pisces, because I don't know whether you can see, but this old woman is wearing a pendant, and it looks like a Christian symbol on here. I mean, it could be the wisdom from life itself. It doesn't have to be from religion. It could be from spirituality. Here is the wisdom. Here is the spiritual wisdom in particular, where you have the Pisces sign now. So this is the wise old woman. That's why you have the combination of Capricorn and Pisces there for the wise old crone. Next one is Cancer and Pisces. This is a unusual. This is one that really makes you think about this card, and all of these cards make you think quite a bit. Sleep is associated with Pisces, and the Cancerian part of this card is really to do with the moon, because of the moon ruling this card. So this is really like the lunar and night and sleep theme for these two signs. So it's quite a beautiful card. It's kind of like a Sleeping Beauty type of theme. I don't know whether you can see it actually. I can actually pick up a bit more about Cancer here. There is a adult and child hand in the clouds, which is associated with this motherhood and family thing again, where this is being tied in with childhood as well. So that's very interesting. And the last card I'm showing for today, this is Libra and Aquarius. So you've got Aquarius representing the air and the bird that the woman is flying away on, and Libra being relationship. Here is the partner here looking up at his partner at this point where the partner has flown away. And Aquarius is the sign of freedom and individuality. So maybe that is why the partner is flying away on the bird. So another beautiful, thought-provoking card from the Symbolon deck, which is a very unusual and different deck. The little white book is quite good, and this deck, in the little white book, it's mentioned that it can be used from the astrology perspective or a psychology perspective. It's not, according to the authors and the creators, it's not meant to be an oracle. But I mean, if you buy this deck, of course you'll make your own decision about how you're going to use the deck. So I'll put the details below the video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.